All right, welcome back to the Elias Macko Show. Now, an AI teddy bear was forced off the shelves by suppliers after it gave dangerous and inappropriate advice to children. U.S. researchers found that Kuma the bear, boy, it was a cute and cuddly bear, but it was also equipped with artificial intelligence powered by ChatGPT. Well, researchers found that this bear, Kuma the bear, was discussing sexual fetishes. It was discussing how to light a match with children. So this removal off the market sparks a broader discussion of whether or not AI should even be inside kids' toys to begin with. Let's go to Mitch Joel, a tech advisor, investor, author of Control Alt Delete. Mr. Joel, welcome back to the program.
Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Elias.
So what do you say about the idea of taking powerful technology like artificial intelligence chat and shoving it into a teddy bear?
I think let's take a step back. I know, Elias, Wolfie's still young. So I've got a couple years on you here as a parent. Here would be my general rules about things related to toys or anything like that. One is every single toy that requires a battery or be plugged in must have a power on or off button. It must have a mute button. It should never have a camera or listening device into it. It should never be connected to the internet, and it should be fully usable without any form of battery or electronics. That's just my general advice to set the platform for how I feel about this. All too often in the middle of the night, something's beeping in the house. We can't figure out what it is. You find that it has to be connected to the internet, and never, all frustration. So put that aside. Putting that aside, this is an unmitigated disaster. You should never, ever, ever in the history of anything at this phase of artificial intelligence be giving anybody of that age access to any form of generative AI. And I would even say we're getting to the point where, while the studies aren't conclusive, we may want to be watching what it's doing up until adults, let alone young people in general. So the fact that this is even allowed, that we don't have regulations and rules in place here, is a real indictment on what we think our government's doing to protect us in relation to artificial intelligence.
So my son has his doo-doos, right? He's almost 2 years old, and he has his little stuffed toys. And every night, bedtime, he wants his doo-doos with him. He's got this stuffed dog that he absolutely adores, needs to have that when he goes to bed. Of late, because over the weekend he received 2 new ones, because he was the ring bearer at my brother's wedding. So he was given as a gift by his bride, Denise, my brother Bill's wife, Denise. Gave him a little Elmo and a little Abby from Sesame Street. And now the last few nights he goes to bed, he's clutching 4 stuffed doo-doos, and he wants them. And he talks with them, he plays with them. I can't, for the life of me, think about giving him a toy that wants to have a conversation with him. He's using his brain right now. He's using his creativity, his intelligence, his imagination. And that's the other thing about this. Like, can there not be imagination in toys still? Like, why do you have to throw in a conversational bot into the mix?
It goes well beyond that. I mean, I think we know that cognitively and developmentally, having that type of quote unquote relationship with an inanimate object is actually quite healthy. It sparks imagination, and they're able to identify that. But they are definitely not in a place where their brains are developed to understand companionship, relationships, and what that means. And because we as the parents aren't even understanding what this technology is, let alone what it's saying, even if the technology, these generative AI voice bots, chats, are saying to the kid, you're doing great, anything that might even sound edgy, it may actually be a negative, because what it could actually ultimately do is create a relationship where the child acknowledges and likes the fact that it's constantly giving it reinforcement. So when a parent does, suddenly you would rather speak to the object rather than the parent, because it doesn't have the cognitive skills to understand what relationships mean. And this is something that we're seeing even in terms of older people who are, having some type of psychotic break in relation to these chatbots and conversations, because it's constantly reinforcing some type of behavior that's triggering something else. So this is one of those things where when I saw this news item, I got super anxious. I mean, I really did, because we don't even have a group of parents who are understanding of what their kids are doing on social media, let alone in what's captured their attention. But now we're talking about capturing their intent, their language, their relationships. This is not the place we want to be.
So this stuffed animal sold for $99 US, and it had OpenAI's GPT 4.0 chatbot. That was the technology that was built in. It shouldn't have, like, in your estimation, like, would there have been any way to do this responsibly? Like, could you have programmed the chatbot not to talk about certain things? Like, is there any way that you could have done this responsibly? I guess that's my question.
There are a couple of stories related to this, not just this one singular one. And the answer is, if you could air gap a type of generative AI that is used for storytelling in a way in which the kid can do a choose your own adventure, or you could speak to it in a way that keeps it within the rails and confines of a story, while never actually trying to create any form of quote unquote, I'm using air quotes here, relationship, or providing some type of place where the child thinks and or believes that it is having a type of real quote unquote conversation. Those are the areas that we don't have enough research to be able to provide that type of tool or access to a young person. Mm-hmm. But in particular, what we know about development and everything that's happening with development of children, this is, again, the complete opposite of what we should be doing. So again, one side of this is, how do you regulate it? And I think that that's like a fair question, is what do you do in regulation? But also the other side of it is, you don't want to be in a place where companies feel like they can just let this stuff run and it can do this. And it's nice because it's a form of companionship. We are nowhere in understanding what this companionship truly means yet for adults. And I mean, again, when I talk about young people, I'm even talking about 18 and under. I mean, you could have people, we're starting to see this, where their brains are cognitively regressing because it's telling them all the right things, because that's the nature of what these systems do.
Do you feel at all, though, like on the flip side of things, these researchers, they're probably not what a 2-year-old would do with this, or a 4-year-old or a kid would do with this stuffed animal. Like, is there a little bit of unfairness on the researchers' part here to try and trick this bear into talking about naughty things when perhaps a 3-year-old, 4-year-old would not be having those conversations to begin with a stuffed toy?
There's no doubt that we live in a world where whatever technology is introduced, there are people who are going to try to break it and show where the flaws are. That is what we need, though, as a society. And if it's able to not have the guardrails for that, I think there's a lot of nuances in terms of culture and just responsibility that we shouldn't just forego because somebody is trying to intentionally break it. That is the point of this. And I think what it's demonstrating more than anything else is that the guardrails weren't put in place. And again, regulation is one thing and the research is the other. There is no research on this. But what we are seeing in early phases of this, because we just haven't had enough runway with this stuff, is it is cognitively not great in terms of that aspect of it. So you have the smarter researchers, what they're saying to the AI, even as adults, is things like, don't speak to me as a first person. Don't give me any compliments. They're actually putting in place for themselves as they're using it so that they can keep the distance, because we're humans. It is very alluring to be in a place where something answers instantly and smoothly and does it even better than a human would. That's where we're at.
Mitch, got to leave it there. I want to thank you for hopping on today with us. Appreciate it.
Find other great gifts. Happy holidays.
Absolutely. Very, very, very good point to end with there. That's Mitch Joel. He's a tech advisor, investor, and author.
iHeartRadio is throwing it back.
2010s, the decade.
To the days of huge hits and unforgettable anthems. A non-stop stream of the biggest and best.
Drake, Rihanna, Beyonce, Katy, Gaga, The Weeknd,
and more. All your decade-defining favorites, all in one place.
Hi, it's Katy Perry.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
This is Kesha.
Find 2010's The Decade on the free iHeartRadio app. Preset the station so it's always one tap away.